Good morning, everyone. It's Coach Christine with Anytime Fitness, and welcome to this week's edition of Christine's Kitchen. So it is June, and as promised, we will be doing breakfasts. For those of you who stuck with us to the end of the desserts last time, and we did those baked peaches, you would have saw a sneak peek that we topped that with a little bit of oatmeal and fresh berries and baked it. And I've got to tell you, it came out delicious. I didn't actually save any to show you photos, so we're just gonna start this month off with fresh breakfast. So here we go. This is one of my tried and true favorites. It is a breakfast quiche, Southwest style and completely dairy-free. Here's why I love this. Every morning I kind of get up and I go. You never know if I'm gonna be at the gym or if I have virtual clients, but every morning my schedule is a little bit hectic. And so for me, sitting down and making a big breakfast isn't always realistic. I typically will do one or two breakfast ideas at the beginning of the week that I can make ahead of time and then just grab and go. And that is where this quiche comes in great. Once it's made, I literally just cut it like I would cut a normal pie. And then I just grab a slice every morning and I have my breakfast heated up within 2 minutes time. The ingredients that you will be needing, we're gonna use just a regular store-bought pie crust. If you're going totally gluten-free, you can do a gluten-free option. If you are doing completely like paleo or whatever, you don't have to use a crust at all. Just spray your baking dish with Pam baking spray so that it doesn't stick and you'll have a great like quiche frittata. I use soy riso in place of the regular chorizo because it is a fraction of the fat, it doesn't have all of the grease, and it bakes with all of the flavor. So you do that. For our non-dairy, I tend to go with a lactose-free Go Veggie cheddar cheese. You can use whatever cheese, regular if you don't have a lactose intolerance. I do a can of diced green chilies or diced jalapenos. So today's dish, I really want to kind of kick up that heat. So I'm actually using hot diced jalapenos. I will use extra firm tofu. Basically, we're going to mix everything into a blender and then pour it into the pie crust. But I'll show you all of the ingredients. Stick with me. Oh, and black beans. Got to have a little bit of kind of Tex-Mex, and it gives you a good amount of fiber and nutritious values between that and the spinach and all of these extra flavors. Anyway, enough about that, let's get cooking. Well, the first thing that I do is take the pie crust, put it in the dish. Honestly, you don't need me to show you how to do that. It's about as easy as can be. Now, if you are using eggs in place of tofu, you can just do this in a regular bowl, mix it with a fork or a whisk to get all of the ingredients together. Because tofu tends to be a little bit thicker, unless you're like mashing it up into tiny little pieces, you're not gonna have the same outcome. Because I like to have a little bit smoother and fluffier quiche when I make mine, I'm gonna use a blender and just mix all of the ingredients together. It makes your life a lot easier. And instead of using bowl when I'm done mixing these, I could just fold the rest of the ingredients in by hand. Here we go. First thing you wanna do is take your package of tofu, open this over a sink because in order for tofu to stay like moist and light and delicious, it is packed with water. So if you just open this over here, water will go everywhere. So drain it over the sink first, and then take your tofu, put it into the mixer. Then, I'm very technical here, open said bag of spinach and dump half of it into it. Honestly, I have no idea how much spinach I ever use. It varies from week to week. But usually if you're kind of eyeballing it, it's about a half of a bag of spinach. And the reason that I like to put that into the mix here is because spinach can get really leafy and textury and grainy, and sometimes you get a big clump in one piece of the pie and not in the rest. So if you mix it all together, you're gonna get all of the spinach blended equally. Now, here is an important part. This is what your normal tube of soy riso looks like. You want to use half of it. So cut it in half. Squeeze it in. I highly recommend having a napkin nearby because just like regular chorizo, it's gonna have a little bit of grease and coloring to it, and your hands are gonna just look like you wanna lick them because it is spicy and yummy. But you still need to do good cooking, so napkin, wipe your hands. From there, we're gonna add a little bit of seasoning. This is totally up to the individual. I like things spicier, so we will start with a little bit of chili powder. If you are looking for an estimate for how much, I would say maybe a teaspoon. I just do a handful of shakes because it feels good. Same thing with crushed red pepper. You can never go with too much. I mean, if you're allergic to it, obviously, or if it makes you sneeze too much. But in my case, I like it. It does make me sneeze amazingly enough when I'm cooking with it, but if I blend it in first, I'm just fine. Then you're gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper. I usually do about 3 shakes of salt. And if you're doing the turns with the grinder, I don't know, anywhere from 7 or 8 maybe. And then last but not least, I usually add a salsa in. I am out of salsa in the house. What I do have is a smoking habanero sauce. So we'll just put a little bit of a pour of that into here. To give you an idea, it's usually about a swirl around. And then we will mix this up and then add the rest of the ingredients. Stay with me, turn the blender on. It's gonna get really noisy in here. Now that everything is blended together, we're gonna add the rest of the ingredients. So while this is blending, you wanna make sure about halfway in to turn the blender off, scrape the sides down, and then start the blender for just a few more seconds to make sure all of that spinach gets in. Sometimes it has a tendency to stick up at the top of the blender. So I've taken the actual little blade out, tossed it into the sink, and that way I can fold the rest of my ingredients in. So I'm gonna take a full can of hot diced jalapenos. We're gonna toss that in. We're also going to take a can of low sodium black beans. These have been rinsed already, and we're gonna toss these in. You just wanna stir them into your mixture, and that way it will blend and cook really evenly. And it gives this entire quiche a delicious Southwest, super zesty flavor and texture, and that's just exciting. I love that. Then, last but not least, you're gonna take your cheese. Usually I use about 1/3 of the bag in, and overall you're gonna use about 1/2 to 3/4 of the bag. So estimate if each bag is about 2 cups, you're gonna use about 1.5 cups of cheese overall. So you're gonna put about 1 cup into the mix, and then you'll reserve that additional 1/2 cup to sprinkle on the top. So we'll just get that in to start. Stir everything up. And honestly, this is such an easy recipe. And in using the mixer, it only gives you 1 dish to clean up. So added bonus. Now that that is all mixed, we're just gonna take it, pour it into our crust here. Get this whole mixture out. The spinach, when you blend it, does make it look a little bit green. If you don't want it to be green, then you can fold the spinach in by hand, and it will have like a cool red color and look super southwestern-y. You could skip the spinach altogether if you don't want it, and just replace the nutritional value with adding the beans in, and you can top it with some fresh cilantro or green onions. Really, when you're doing a quiche, it's kind of like the kitchen sink of everything. You can just toss whatever flavors you want in. This is just what I know comes out super delicious when I'm making it for myself. I think we've got just about everything there. Throw this aside. Make sure that this is all level in my pie crust. I already have my oven preheated to 375. I'm gonna bake this in the oven for about 55 minutes, and then we will let it cool for just a few minutes on a cooling rack on the stovetop before we cut into it. I promise you this is delicious, and you'll be able to eat this for the entire week. So this is what it looks like before it goes into the oven. We'll check in just about an hour when we take it out and get ready to enjoy our breakfast. All right, you guys, hang tight, grab a cup of coffee or a mimosa, whatever you do on Sunday mornings, and we'll see you in an hour. Just kidding. We need to put cheese on top before it can go in the oven. Here we go. You sprinkle it. Make sure it's covered and looks beautiful. And then that's what it looks like before it goes in the oven. All right, for real this time, I'll see you in an hour. Hi again, welcome back. It's been an hour. Let's take this out of the oven. Here we go. Open it up. Let your glasses defog for a minute. Carefully take this out. Try to close the oven without banging it so loud this week. Probably not. I'll work on that. And then, my friends, take a look at that. I'm so hungry and so excited that it's Sunday and it's breakfast and I get to eat this beautiful, delicious, zesty creation. And I'm gonna cut it into 8 slices so I have breakfast for the rest of the week too. All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching. From my kitchen to yours, have a great Sunday and we will see you next week.